Welcome. I'm here with our sustainability expert, Antonia Graham, to give you an inside look into what we'll be covering in our upcoming Proving Success with Metrics and Social Marketing webinar. So, Antonia, let's start with what you'll be covering in this session.
Measurement and metrics. If it sits on a shelf, it's of no value to your organization, and you've just wasted $250,000 of taxpayer funds that you could have used for something else more worthwhile. I think that it's something that can definitely be done in-house. If you know your community, you have a good collaborative team of people from different departments. I definitely think that the most important thing once you have your plan is creating some metrics on how to measure your success, because then you can, you look at your sustainability plan as sort of a living document, and you're able to change it and morph it and make it more successful.
Right. After all, if you don't track your metrics, how do you know if your plan's succeeding? Speaking of succeeding and failing, what mistakes do people make when implementing community-based social marketing to engage stakeholders?
I think the mistake that's often made is that we don't communicate clearly. We don't know our audience. We don't pilot programs. We just sort of jump in and we do, full bore. We don't know if things are going to work. We need to test them out first. When it comes to community-based social marketing, we have to move beyond education. We have to work harder to remove barriers to communicate. There was a very famous public awareness campaign in the 1970s from Keep America Beautiful. This is Crying Indian, and he was rowing a boat through a river strewn with trash, and you can see pollution in the background, and you can go on YouTube and see this video. And the thing is that this really moved people, and it touched them, because you have this man, he's upset about the state of the pollution in the world in the 1970s, but yet did it really move people to change that much? Not really, because we still lived in this disposable society where there was, trash everywhere, and what do you do with it? So in order for us to zero waste or to become more sustainable, we have to remove barriers. And so we can do community-based social marketing all day long, but at the end of the day, it comes to fostering lasting behavioral changes with our residents. And you have to do that through education and knowing your audience and and clearly communicating.
So just moving people isn't enough. It all comes down to lasting behavior change, which means you need the numbers. What metrics are essential to track?
Well, not only, the low-hanging fruit, water, energy, but also, have a community forum and gauge the effectiveness with your community. If you have an environmental board or a green team, measuring trash, kilowatt hours saved of energy, and those will give you some really concrete numbers. But then there's also, are people noticing the city has planned? Is it different? Are they not liking, maybe high density, or maybe there's not enough bikes? So getting input from your residents and your community at large and engaging to understand they're extremely important.
So you need a good mix of qualitative and quantitative metrics. And one last question for now. Can you touch on some of the best ways to prove your plan's success to your boss or your community?
This kind of goes back to knowing your community and what are their core values. What's the core value of your organization? If the core value of your organization is economic development and economic efficiency, that's how you're going to sell your program. This is the story that you're going to tell your community. You also need to have some concrete evidence. Why would setting up a recycling market development zone benefit your community? Well, because X, Y, and Z. It's going to create this many jobs. It's going to divert this much material. You need to have facts. So definitely do your research before you approach maybe your city manager or your assistant city manager. You need to know your community and know what their core values are, and that's how you tell your story, and that's how you get to the point of yes, you can move forward with your plan.
Always back up your stories with facts. Thanks, Antonia. That's all we have time for right now. If you want to learn more about sustainability and the metrics that go with it, join Antonia for her Proving Success with Social Marketing webinar on June 4th. Register today for this webinar or the whole series at foresteruniversity.net and check out her other videos on our Forester U YouTube channel.